Before I say anything else, I want to speak directly to the people of Rwanda. This video is made with deep respect. April is a sacred time of remembrance. In April 1994, Rwanda experienced one of the most devastating tragedies in modern history. In just about 100 days, more than 800,000 lives were taken during the genocide against the Tutsi. Families disappeared, communities were destroyed, lives interrupted in ways that words can never fully capture. But Rwanda did not disappear. Rather, Rwanda endured. And today, we remember not just what was lost, but what actually survived. Because memory protects humanity. The story did not begin in 1994. To understand what happened, we have to go back decades earlier. Before colonial rule, Rwanda had social groups called the Hutu, the Tutsi, and Twa. But these identities were more fluid than fixed. People shared languages, culture, and lived side by side. But everything changed under colonial influence. First, it was the Germans, and second, it was the Belgians. The Belgian administration introduced a rigid system that categorized people based on ethnicity, often using physical features or family lineage. Identity cards were also introduced. And suddenly, what had once been flexible became permanent. This wasn't just administration, it was division. The colonial government favored the Tutsi minority for administrative roles, education, and leadership positions. This created deep resentment amongst the Hutu majority. Over time, identity became politicized. Difference became distance, and distance became distrust. When Rwanda gained independence in 1962, power shifted to the Hutu leadership. But instead of healing divisions, the wound deepened more. So there were cycles of violence. Tutsi were persecuted. Many forced into exile. Refugees fled to neighboring countries. This history of tension laid the groundwork for what would come later. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, economic struggle, political instability, and fear of losing power created fertile ground for extremism. Propaganda began to spread, and one of the most dangerous tools used back then was the media. My French is really rusty, please pardon my pronunciation. So Radio Television Libre des Mille Collines, which is RTLM, became a powerful voice of hate. It didn't just report news, it dehumanized Tutsis. It spread fear, it encouraged violence. So people were called Iyenzi. Iyenzi is a Kinyarwanda word which means cockroaches. Neighbors were turned against neighbors. And when hate is repeated often enough, it starts to feel like truth. This is how words became weapons. On April 6, 1994, the plane carrying the president, Juvenal Habyarimana, was shot down. Within hours, roads were blocked, they were set up everywhere, and the killing began. This was not spontaneous. It was organized, it was planned, and it was systematic. Lists had been prepared. Targets have been identified. Extremist militants, especially Interahamwe, please pardon my pronunciation, carried out much of the violence. But when they were not alone, ordinary citizens were pressured. They were threatened, they were manipulated into participating. Neighbors turned against neighbors. Communities collapsed under fear. Homes became very unsafe. Churches became sites of massacre. The speed and scale of the violence, it shocked the world. But for many, the world remained silent. This is one of the hardest truths to sit with. But Rwanda's story did not end in tragedy. It became a story of rebuilding, of resilience, of choosing unity and unimaginable division. And today, Rwanda stands as a nation that has worked intentionally to heal through remembrance, through justice systems like the Gakaka courts, through policies that, reject ethnic division, through people choosing to move forward without forgetting. So this month of April, I want to use my platform, my social media handles, to remember, to learn, and to honor the resilience of the Rwandan people. Because this is not just Rwanda's story, it is a human story. It is a reminder of what happens when hate is allowed to grow and what is possible when people choose to rebuild. If you believe history must be told truthfully and with dignity, please subscribe to my channel. Join this journey of remembrance and let's talk about this in the comments. What does remembrance mean to you? Because memory protects humanity. Before you leave this video, I want you to sit with this for a moment. More than 800,000 lives. These are not just numbers. These are people, names, stories that deserved time. And this is why we remember, not to reopen wounds, but to protect truth, but to protect humanity. Because when we forget, we become vulnerable to repeating the same darkness. Rwanda chose something powerful. Not just survival, but rebuilding. Not just moving on from the genocide, but moving forward with memory. And there is something deeply human about that. My name is Leticia Edirin, and on this platform, we don't just scroll past stories, we sit with them, we learn, we grow. Because real growth begins when we are willing to face the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. If this video taught you something or made you feel something, don't keep it to yourself. Please share the video, start a conversation, let someone else learn what you have just learned. And if you believe stories like this actually matter, stories of truth, stories of identity, and stories of humanity, please subscribe to my channel, be a part of the community that chooses depth over silence. I want to hear from you. What does remembrance mean to you? Leave a comment. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.